5 casts to 1 with a spinnerbait and they're going to smash a spinnerbait, I want to know that right away, right? A lot of times it's been trial and error in the past, but with live sonar and learning to read fish's behavior, I can roll into an area, see that fish are schooling or chasing or wolf packed, and because of their behavior, I know right away, hey, I can get aggressive with these suckers. And the thing is, in real life tournament situation, it literally changes from hour to hour. Most every tournament day, the 9 o'clock's not the same as 8 o'clock. 10 o'clock's not the same as 9 o'clock. And so that's why you begin to see a lot of live sonar guys that are tournament anglers, the more rods you see on their deck. Those are just their tools that they're using for that scenario that they're reading all this information and they're putting it into, okay? The book is wrong. There is so much that we're reinventing learning about how fish behave. And I think it's really cool. I love to learn more. Let me give you guys one example. How about this? I was fishing along a river one time with LiveScope on, and it had been a river that before LiveScope, I got on a log flipping pattern. A lot. I love flipping this river with logs. And it was literally, the pattern was if I could see 3-foot visibility, and if that visibility was right where that drop-off had, and I had a big log with about 2 or 3 foot diameter, I could flip up in that shallow and bring it right to that edge, and boom, there'd be one every time. And that was the pattern. I don't know if anybody else has ever been on that pattern, all right? So now I got LiveScope, and I'm just randomly flipping, and I'm not really paying attention to my LiveScope, but the pattern's on today, and I know it's on. And so I flip up next to that log, and I look, and I see a flash. In my mind, I'm going to take a step back. In my mind, the entire time before this, you know, I was told that that bass was up underneath that log, and it was kind of there chilling and waiting for an opportunity for something to come by, right? Well, I flip up next to this log, and I see a flash, and my bait starts to swim off, and I set the hook, and I catch a fish, and I realize, and it does it again, and I realize, these bass were not on this log. Now, I'm not saying that there's not times that there are, right? They weren't on the log. What they were doing is they were down in the depths where they couldn't be seen, and they were looking up at that log, and they were using that drop-off as an ambush point to pin something up against that log. Does that make sense? So what's cool about learning about this, okay, is that it opens up our eyes to when that same fish gets inactive, all right? Now let's say that day goes on and you're in a tournament and the fish are inactive. Well, a lot of times now we're up there really next to that log, just really soaking in it. And the thing is, that fish is inactive and he's sitting out behind us. So that's when we're able to adjust and at least put our baits in the areas where the fish are actually living, if that makes sense. So there's a lot of things that we're able to learn. I remember fishing docks, flipping docks, and I don't know if anybody's ever been on like the back left pole pattern, right? You know, there's a pole that those fish are on. And the wind's coming in from the north, that back dock right there, that back left corner's that way, and every time you get to that pole, boom, he's there. You get to the point where you're feeling like you're Kevin Van Dam, you're only hitting those left poles and you're catching fish all the time. Well, in my mind, that bass is sitting on that pole and he's like a cat waiting to bounce out at a mouse, right? And what I found out was that's not always the truth. It's not the truth. You come to the back pole, there's something about the way that current and the light and everything's shining that's where that predator decides that he wants to attack. But he's really underneath that dock, and he could be back at that back right pole, and he's sharking around, and he's doing like this. I call them shark because that's what they look like. A bass looks like a shark. That's how they move underwater. And then boom, something comes to that point, and he runs out, boom, and he hits it right there. Just a lot of cool things that we're able to understand and learn. And that's why I'm fascinated myself, because I'm just a nerd when it comes to bass behavior. I want to know how fish are behaving and why they are. So presentation, we already talked about that. Catching inactive fish. With live sonar, just like we talked about the jerkbait earlier, it opens up to you the opportunity to pick on fish that before we were power fishing, we just go cover as much water as possible, we're looking for the active fish, and that still works, all right? But there are times when either you come across a trophy you want to mess with, you want to catch this 10-pounder, or you're in a situation where in a Bass Open, for instance, there's 250 boats or whatever it is, 225 boats, and you can't just run everywhere. So you have to capitalize on the fish that are in front of you.